Hey, culture hackers, welcome to another episode. I'm really excited about this one because this is very different than the standard kind of corporate stuff we do. But I think it really applies, and you're going to see it. A lot of you might know that my next book is all about game development called Make It a Game. And the way this story starts is I started going to game conventions to learn more. And it's kind of this awkward, weird experience where people are doing all kinds of things and in costumes, and I feel just completely awkward. And I go and I see this room, and I don't know, I'm an energy person, I'm a vibe person. I could feel the vibe was just really good in there, and I didn't know the game, just wanted to go in and watch, and they explained it to me, and and then I got to be a part of it, and it was so much fun that it's quickly become one of my favorite games that I recommend to people. And I'm going to share more, but first, I just want to welcome the actual creator of this game, Casting Call, is here with us. JC, welcome so much to the Culture Hackers podcast.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's kind of fun to do this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, why don't I ask you first? Like, I mean, I've played it, but how do you describe the game? Somebody, you meet somebody on the street or whatever, they ask about what is this game? What do you tell them?
It's an audition party card game. So the idea is that you get to audition for a part in a movie,
Yeah.
and you learn a little bit about the industry in that it's basically it's an incredibly unfair but fun game, just like working in Hollywood. You don't need any kind of you need some talent, but not a lot of talent. It's really kind of the
Yeah.
circumstance, which is how you win more than your abilities.
Right, right. Can I give you like the most backhanded compliment, which is that like you have the most amazing game, and I think you're totally doing yourself a disservice the way you introduce it that way because it's like it just doesn't capture how awesome the game is itself. Because I think it's like I think the brilliance of it is, and just to explain briefly, from my experience what it is and then why I think it's so good is everybody is you're all there's a director and there's people reading lines to audition for a part, and then they read it in different ways, and then there's a callback and the two people get notes about how to read it differently, and then you win certain things and get funny insights about Hollywood along the way that it makes everybody laugh. And we had so much fun playing it. A few things hit me with it. One is that it's kind of like um, it combines like the brilliance of Cards Against Humanity, but with body language and tones and voice, essentially. So it's like a totally multi-dimensional Cards Against Humanity kind of thing, in my view.
Well, I appreciate that description, and yeah, I guess so. I really wanted to do something that people could just have fun. I think that
Yeah.
people needed to interact. I think people needed to have fun. I think that it's really surprising how it takes the people who you would think wouldn't do well at it, do the best, and the people who you think would do the best at it sometimes do the worst at it, and it's kind of a funny, weird thing. Um, but yeah,
Wow, I
I
just
really
hadn't
just
thought
want.
of that. It's just a great point to double click on there because I remember when we played, there was that guy, and I was just totally being judgmental in my mind about him. And you're right, he ended up being so funny. At one point, I think he even took off his shirt for one of the parts where we were just like, "What?" That didn't even cross my mind. It's so out of control and ridiculous, but he was great.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny that when I was testing it, I took it at first. I took it to my family, and my father, who usually doesn't kind of engage in these things, he just sits back and he's an observer kind of for games. And we were playing the game, and he's traditionally pretty quiet in that sense. And as we were playing, he just kind of eased his chair closer and closer. And he said, "Well, I'll play." And we're like, "Okay." And before before you knew it, he was like making voices, and we were like, "Who is this guy? This is not a guy who plays games, and certainly doesn't become that kind of animated." And that's when I knew I was like, "This is going to be really the kind of game that draws people out of." out of their comfort zone and into just kind of this absurdist space, which people seem to really enjoy. And it's been remarkable. And I also think that it's kind of educational in the sense of you know, especially with COVID, people, so many young people have kind of like lost some of those socialization skills. And I think that this kind of really is a great way of integrating them back into a friend, family, social situation. And my sister, who's a teacher, uses it in her class now.
Mm,
So she has the students as kind of an icebreaker,
yeah.
uses that as exercises. So it's had a very an interesting life beyond what I expected it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about game design, and one of the points somebody makes is what makes for a great game, and they said it's always the people. And in a way, that makes it the hardest to design for, I think. But your game does it so well because it is so based on the people. When I play it with different people, it's a very different game. And it kind of, but the structure of the game really brings out the essence of a person in a lot of ways. So I think it's just brilliant about like taking the people in the room and almost like making them greater or more interesting or funnier.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really remarkable what people are capable of when kind of put to task, and it's surprising in a fun way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What was it like that time when I was there, like to watch your game being played that way? Like, what is that experience like for you?
You know, I'm a filmmaker by trade, and my the reason I've done this as long as I have, and the reason I enjoy it is because I love watching people have fun and enjoy themselves and be engaged. And even when when they watch a film that I've made, just sitting in an audience, just watching something and being entranced, and
Yeah.
being in a room full of people that you just met and having them say your words and doing things that you would know they wouldn't ordinarily do, and just enjoying themselves and having fun. And you're realizing that these are people who are now strangers are connecting and families are enjoying each other, and you're having this unified positive experience, whereas a lot of times you don't have that anymore. Just kind of makes me happy that I could contribute to this, and it's kind of a cool thing to be able to give to friends and families and strangers, and
Yeah.
I just enjoy watching people have a good time.
Yeah, I was surprised in sharing it to see. I don't know if this has been your experience or not, but I found it polarizing, which is surprising, not bad because I think great brands polarize, but I was surprised because I just think it's great and everybody, from my viewpoint would enjoy playing it. But then there were two kinds of people who were like, no. One was some actors who felt like this is my day job. I'm not doing this. Like I don't need the stress of this. I don't need to they didn't want to go there because they're the pros. And then other people who I think were just like in general very, very shy, kind of introverted and didn't want to do something in that kind of extroverted way. And so I found it that people either really wanted to play or really didn't want to play.
Yeah, it's interesting. The actors, because I live in Los Angeles and I've played with a lot of actors, and a lot of friends of mine are actors. I find that the actors, the reason the actors get frustrated is because their traditional training gets in the way of them letting go, right? So
Mhm.
they'll see a script and then they have to make a choice on who this character is and what their point of view is, and they bring so much baggage to the table in that choice
Hmm.
that they just can't have fun. Whereas most people who aren't classically trained would be like, I'm going to do this as Mickey Mouse. And then they just do it, or they just kind of make an instant non-judgmental choice. But with an actor, they're always like, all right, how is this going to be seen? Although it's an auditioning game, it's really not an auditioning game in the sense that
Yeah.
nobody cares. And I think they care too much. Whereas, ironically, I think I'm the kind of person who is the more introverted person.
Mhm.
And when we play, I always I make a joke that I created a game that I hate playing because I mean I enjoy playing it, but it's not my kind of a game.
Uh,
I'm not that kind of socially gregarious.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So usually I'm the most conservative of the group. Um, I, I'm a writer by trade also, so I created another game which is more of a writing game, which is more the game that I like to play
Hmm.
because I'm not an actor of sorts or a kind of person who's like, let's just get big.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. Did you sell that game too, the writer's game?
I haven't, I'm just developing it now. I haven't gone into
Oh,
production
cool.
yet.
And what was that like to go from idea in your head to beautifully designed, people playing it, it's on Amazon, it's getting 5 stars of reviews. I mean, there must have been so much between idea to that.
You know, it was something that I used to do with my niece and nephew when they were growing up. I would give them little scripts to act out, and they always had so much fun doing it. And then one day I was like, oh, let me see about just turning this into a proper game. So it was during the Christmas holiday, and I was with my family, and I said, oh, you know, I had some downtime, so I started to create it, and I printed up the cards on you know the printer in the other room, and I got some packing tape, and I had my nephew seal the cards, and I said, "All right, guys, tonight I made just a handful of them. We're going to try something," and everyone really kind of enjoyed it. To much to my surprise, they really reacted very positively to it, and I was on a blog that said that the way you know that you have a game that's worth making is that when people ask, where could I buy this? So that was kind of everybody was really like, oh, if you make, you know, could you make more? You know, where could I get this? And then I realized, oh, you know, let's just try it. Really, there was very little barrier to entry
Uh-huh.
in that it was a card game, and card games are relatively cheap to produce. So I made the cards and played it, and the more people I played it with, the more people insisted that it become a real game. So my husband, who is in the design industry, said, "Well, I have a designer. Let's give the cards to them and have them make them beautiful. You know, make
Mm.
them a proper design." So I gave it to this artist, and she came back, and I was like, "These cards look great," and that's when I said, let's just try it. You know, let's kickstart it and see if people respond to that. Because if people respond to that, then you know you're already off to the races. Being that they're cards and they were designed, and then it was the next phase was to see how people responded to the concept. And then the Kickstarter went really well. I think within 2 weeks we funded it. So you know, now I really had no choice but to go into production. So I did a little research online, found a production company, a printer, and kind of felt my way through the darkness. You
Hmm.
know, it's not my field, but a lot of times I've found that I've tried different industries, and they're all kind of different but the same. You know, collectively things are although you know I've never made a game, I have marketed a movie, and
Hmm.
although I have never made a game, I have produced a movie where I you know had to do these things. So
Yeah.
selling DVDs. So there's so many components to one business that kind of leads into another business that if you just kind of have an open mind to it and just adjust things, you kind of can find your way into and through that path.
Yeah. Interesting. How did you find the general community and culture of the gaming world?
It was different than what I'm used to. I'm really was very surprised. The, the gaming culture, which pleasantly surprised me, was very accepting and open-minded about diversity and people. And I didn't really know what I was going to get myself into. But when I went to that game convention, which is probably, I think I only went to like two, the one that I met you at and a different one,
Hmm.
just people are just dressing up in costumes, as you've said, and they're just being so authentic and welcoming, and that it feels like they've created a very, very safe space for themselves, and they know who they are. They're accepting of who they are, and they're accepting about anyone who wants to be in that space. And it was really nice that, although I was a stranger, I did not feel strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it reminds me of like when I was at Zappos, I had a really diverse team and in many different half men, women, ethnicities, like all orientations, everything. And we never planned it. We never planned it that way, but we really had a very, very specific kind of business we were running and people that we were looking for, and so it became very diverse. And I think that's what the gaming community, it's like it's such a specific, weird kind of niche that you need diverse groups of people coming in because it's just a small portion of the population. And yet I think it's growing. I mean, is it fascinating to see like these conferences, like hundreds of thousands of people in Germany for a board game convention, and
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely
I
growing.
was shocked when I went to I think it was called Gamma. It was huge. It was ostensibly Comic Con, and
Yeah,
I did not expect it to be as big and overwhelming as it was, and people from all over the world are flying in,
yeah,
and it's really kind of whole. It's a whole obviously big industry and a multi-million billion dollar industry, but I didn't. I had no idea. I guess I was just being naive and innocent, walking in, going with my little card game, saying, "Oh, I hope somebody plays it." And then suddenly, people are showing up, strangers are showing up. We're having a good time, and the convention floor is packed full of all kinds of people dressed in all kinds of costumes. And I was like, "This is really an unexpected, fun surprise."
yeah, yeah. Have you I love how it brings Hollywood to regular people, like where we get to kind of feel like actors and feel famous or for a moment or something like that. Like, do you think there's like, have you seen this as an opportunity to go the other way, like getting Hollywood to be more fun, more relaxed, that kind of thing, like impacting Hollywood culture itself?
I don't know that it would impact Hollywood culture. I was kind of hoping, and still, I guess I still am hoping that, maybe the film, the game would be able to be licensable by different groups, like maybe a studio, for example, if you had the Wizard of Oz edition, right? And you could use lines
I
from the
love
Wizard
that
of
idea.
Oz, or doing some kind of fun licensing Marvel, and you could use just different Marvel characters. But I don't really I don't know that the game would affect Hollywood as much as I think that it's a really good, useful tool for people who are, teachers of improv and teachers of communication, and teachers of the dramatic arts. But as far as I think, when you get to the professional status of Los Angeles, I don't know that the game really will kind of pertain to that, in that going back to classically trained actors are already, they're bringing their choices, they're making, they maybe as an improv, it's a good exercise for them to just kind of let go and just make instinctive choices. Maybe it is a good thing retroactively for them to just strip down all that training and just go with their based feelings and emotions and just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got like a couple expansion packs. Are there thoughts for more? I was even thinking like, if you had them, I would download them off a website and print them if I had to. If you didn't, have to do a whole run, like that would be like, is there plans for more?
Yeah, well, that is a really good thought. And there are print and play games. And I
Mm,
was actually going to turn the game into a print and play version of it. So this way, if you couldn't find the actual physical pack, you can go and print it on your printer. Uh, I do have ideas for, I want to do a holiday edition,
mm,
and because that's where I kind of developed it is during the holidays. So I want to do a holiday edition, and I think well, we have the horror, which it's Halloween, so maybe yeah, more of a Christmas holiday,
Hmm.
and the game is design was printed for 14 over, and I think that what I would do is make a version for younger people because it's just simplify it a little bit so you don't have two choices, just one choice, make it a little bit more family friendly and basic.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
think that my probably my next thing would be Christmas and maybe a 10-year-old or 10-year-old and above, or maybe little younger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as a game designer myself, I'm curious, were there any pitfalls, anything that you'd be like, warning against, anything go off the rails?
I don't know that I have come across anything that I would say would come. I think that yes, I probably would have, looking back, I would have made a younger version
Mm,
at the same time,
mm,
and I probably would have done that. I also I think that, and my game is very basic, so I can't really. I don't think this pertains to my game, but I think it pertains to a lot of games, which having met some friends in this space and then asking me to beta test their games, right? To game test. I think that the one thing that I would say to somebody else who's starting a game design or something is not only test it, but actually listen. And I say that as a filmmaker, I can't. So many people ask me for script notes. People ask me for and my advice on distribution, my advice on production, which I am very, very happy to give. And I will sit there for hours and I will read scripts and I will give them advice based on 40 years experience. I mean, not to be boastful, but I truly do know what I'm doing when I make a film, an
mhm.
independent film. And 9 out of 10 people don't listen to what I say after I will say it to them and I will give them the advice. And then they will come back a year or two later and say, boy, I really wish I had sat there and listened to you. And I could just watch them not listen. They're like, well, should I go with this distributor? And I would give them advice. And then they would do, well, I signed with them anyway. Or, I know you said this, but I thought this. So I think that with some game people, they would present their cards. And I would say, well, I think these cards are great and they look great, but they're all part of a set. So make them all like have a red border. So people know that they all go together, right? Going back to what I did learn, which is also funny, going back to what you were asking.
Hmm.
I did on the cards, it says the directions on what to do with the cards. Like take one card, put it back, or nobody reads that. People don't, people rarely read the instructions on the cards. You would
Yeah.
think that they would.
Right.
So simple is best. It truly simple is best. People, even though it gives you specific directions on take this, read this out loud, nobody does. It's remarkable how little people will follow the instructions on a card. So just give them the basics. That would be kind of the thing. And also yes, when try to absorb information that when somebody who has a little bit of experience will say to you, just go, all right, well, let me process this, let me think about it, let me test it, let me see if it really does work, because sometimes it is a good advice.
Hmm. Got it. Um, Just checking my notes here for my questions. One thought I had with this was I kind of discovered this in karaoke where I was shy at first and then I put on sunglasses and it was easy because they didn't see the fear in my eyes. And I was giving a speech actually in Vegas and I wanted people to do a silly dance on stage with me. And I was like, I got to get them in the mood really fast. And so I got all these like whatchamacallit, those
Boas?
Yeah, thank you. Boas and wigs and sunglasses, and they put them on, they just immediately got silly. So I bet with this that would work too, where people brought that with the game and say, hey, you can put on any of this. They're just going to immediately get into silly mode.
Yes, yes, that's 100% true. And to kind of elaborate with what you were saying, I did a film where the actress was playing a villain, and I bought this wig that was not very unlike her hair, but it was a different wig, and the costume designer said to me, or the hair makeup said, we could make her hair this, right? We don't need to put a wig on her. We could just do her hair the way you want it to be done. So I said, I want the wig because when she puts the wig on, it's not her hair, right? And it is goes back to what you were saying, costumes, glasses, different hair. Even though it may look similar, it puts you in a different place. It's not you, so it frees you up to create a character
Totally.
that is separate from you. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that. Even just like when you go you wear your clothes and you put on different clothes and you have your casual
Cool.
clothes and your gym clothes and your or professional clothes. When you put that on, you kind of go into different modes,
Right, for
and that
sure.
that pertains to, I think, life and this game, certainly with props.
Totally. Totally. Have you thought at all about it applying to other industries beyond acting? I don't know. Like, I'm wondering if there's a sales game of this kind of format, or did you just think of any kind of extensions into like business or industries?
No, I didn't. Interesting. That it really is interesting, and something to think about. No, I really kind of I haven't. My journey kind of took me into the game, and then marketing the game, and then selling the game, and then maybe creating another expansion pack, and maybe doing the 10-year-old version, and then the writer's game, because amortizing the sales over of one Hollywood game versus making two Hollywood games. Like, if you like this, then you could have this, right? I haven't really thought about opening up that for casting call beyond what I had originally thought, but it's an interesting idea to open up to different businesses and different applications using that basic strategy and formula. So yeah, I definitely would think about it.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Um, well, this has been just such a pleasure to talk to you about this. And, I keep recommending the game, telling people to get it's a great gift. Even if you don't like the game or don't want to play, you should definitely play it. But if you want to surprise people for a really fun gift, because, I've been playing a lot of board games and I gotta say, like, a lot of them are frustrating. A lot of them take forever to learn and then forever to play, So I think like it's not easy to create a great fun game that people love to play and can bring like their whole selves to it. So
Well, I appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate you telling your fans, friends, and family about it. And yeah, I made a video at castingcallthegame.com, so to make it also certainly easy, so people can go just watch a 4-minute video. I don't even know if it's 4 minutes on how to play, right?
mm,
Because it is one of those. Instantly I get it, right? This basically three, four rules to it, and you instantly get it. So I tried to make a really kind of fun how-to video on it, so people can see that from the website and also on the packaging. So I really tried to think about how to just make it a good experience.
yeah, definitely everybody go to there we go. Castingcallthegame.com. Get my signed copy there. Castingcallthegame.com. JC, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. See you next time, Cool Trackers.